Aaron.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say it the first time I said Aaron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron?
You done messed up, Aaron!
Hey, Aaron is here. Welcome back, everybody, for more SPTV, where every day's a great day not to be in a cult. Guys, in the latest episode of Bill Maher's podcast, he actually says that Tom Cruise is the one really in charge of Scientology, not David Miscavige. And from the clip, it's not entirely clear because he doesn't really, they don't really chew on it much more than that with his guest, who is Billy Bush, who I just now coming to learn how what an unbearable clown Billy Bush is. This interview was a strange interview. They didn't really chew on it much more than that. It's not entirely clear whether Bill Maher is being literal or whether he's saying, whether he's being figurative. Now what's interesting is that last week I did a video where I made the argument that without David Miscavige, Scientology would continue on. But without Tom Cruise, Scientology would fail completely. And so it's funny that obviously Tom Cruise is not literally in charge of Scientology. But I actually think that this is the point Bill Maher was making, that Tom Cruise could demand any change he wanted to be made in Scientology be made. And with the or else I will leave Scientology and Scientology will fail. So you will do what I want. You will do what I ask, even if he's speaking to David Miscavige. Obviously, everyone in Scientology will already do whatever Tom Cruise wants or what Tom Cruise asks. But only David Miscavige has the power to actually issue orders that meaningful things change in Scientology. See, Tom Cruise couldn't issue orders, but Tom Cruise could use his leverage to get David Miscavige to issue orders to make meaningful change. This is actually what I think Bill Maher's point was. And I want to share it with you because I think it's really interesting. I got to tell you, I'm becoming more and more of I guess you would say, a fan of Bill Maher. There's something about his old man, get off my lawn energy that is appealing to me more and more these days, maybe as I get older. But I'll tell you, for whatever anyone can say about Bill Maher, there's one thing that I think is his most redeeming quality. He does not ever care whether people like him. And, that can make you sort of an a-hole and kind of abrasive and kind of unbearable. But it's actually a pretty unique quality to absolutely not care what anyone thinks about you. And it's funny, if you happen to watch his podcast, he basically brings people onto his podcast so that Bill Maher, can just complain about things nonstop. They're not even so much interviews as Bill Maher complaining about things to different people episode after episode. It's actually very hilarious. Okay, so somehow Bill Maher and Billy Bush get onto talking about Scientology and Tom Cruise. They enter the conversation by talking about secretly gay celebrities. Bill Maher brings up Tom Cruise as someone everyone says is gay, but is not gay. And it just continues on from there. Billy Bush makes a real kind of ass out of himself. Like, Billy Bush is very unlikable. Billy Bush is sort of the opposite of Bill Maher. Billy Bush seems to only care whether people like him. Anyway, let's just watch a little bit of this. The whole clip's not more than several minutes long. I'm sure I'll interject plenty along the way. And I've already got it queued up. Let's rock and roll.
There are stars who they say it about who are not gay. Tom Cruise, they say, I don't think Tom Cruise is gay.
No.
He's a Scientologist. It's different. It's even weirder. Not that being gay is weird. I'm just saying it's less than the majority. But Scientology, that's his. I don't think you need Scientology and gay.
So, I mean, it's funny. He makes an interesting point there, except his point is invalidated by John Travolta. Now, I also am under the opinion that Tom Cruise is not gay. I love how Bill slipped and he's like, Scientology is even weirder. In Scientology, the people that are responsible for administering and delivering your auditing and your ethics interviews and all of this kind of stuff, eventually everyone ends up knowing your business. Okay. Everybody knows John Travolta is gay, bisexual. I have never heard a single person in Scientology who ever had anything to do with Tom Cruise ever even imply that Tom is gay. It is funny that these rumors do follow him around. So anyway, I agree that Tom Cruise is not gay, but his point that somehow Tom's involvement in Scientology is enough or weird enough, or you can't really be gay and also be a Scientologist, it's just actually not true. You can be gay and be a Scientologist. It's just that being gay is one of the things that Scientology is trying to fix you of. And as long as you're still gay, Scientology will say you're still broken. It's actually why John Travolta has never been allowed to do the rest of Scientology's upper confidential levels, because he just can't stop having relationships with dudes. But there's plenty of gay Scientologists. There's even gay staff members. You're not allowed to have a gay Sea Org member. If they find out you're being gay in the Sea Org, you're out of there. But you can be on staff these days if you're gay. You can certainly be a public Scientologist if you're gay. Again, John Travolta, one of the biggest examples. Second biggest example, Linkin Park's singer Emily Armstrong. Diehard, dedicated, hardcore, second generation Scientologist, lives her life as an openly gay woman. Okay, let's keep going.
Big interview with Tom Cruise. We never ever back in
Billy Bush doesn't even acknowledge or respond to anything Bill Maher just said. He just starts talking about himself.
2005. We never wiped the format of,
But Scientology, that's his. I don't think you need Scientology and gay.
I did a big interview with Tom Cruise. We never ever, back in the day, 2005, we never wiped the format of Access Hollywood. It's always story, 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 news, news. But for Tom Cruise, I wrote him a letter and I said, Tom, whenever we interview you, we ask, who are you dating, whatever. It never goes anywhere. You always talk about Scientology. So I thought, let's talk about it. And I said, I'd love to sit down with you.
I thought he didn't want to talk about it.
No, this was back when he did. And then,
guys, Billy Bush can't keep his BS straight. Billy Bush is he's like lying. He's pulling a Brian Williams here. He's like invented some story and convinced himself that it's true. He's acting like there's a period where everyone wanted to talk to Tom Cruise about his life, and all Tom ever wanted to talk about was Scientology. And then no one would let Tom Cruise talk about Scientology, but it's all he wanted to talk about. And then Billy Bush came along and is like, hey, Tom, you know how you always want to talk about Scientology, but nobody will ever let you? How about you and I sit down and we talk about Scientology the way that you've always wanted to? I've listened to this like 3 or 4 times just to make sure I'm hearing it correctly. This is literally the version of the story that Billy Bush tells. It's totally false. By the way, Billy Bush, he's going to make reference to an interview he did with Tom, of course, jumping on Oprah's couch, and of course, Matt Lauer. I went back and I checked the dates. Tom Cruise jumped on Oprah Winfrey's couch almost in a full month before he ever did an interview with Billy Bush. This guy's just a weirdo. But let's keep going.
And it didn't go. And I was, Tom, story, news. But for Tom Cruise, I wrote him a letter and I said, Tom, whenever we interview you, we ask, who are you dating, whatever. It never goes anywhere. You always talk about Scientology. So I thought, let's talk about it. And I said, I'd love to sit down with you.
I thought he didn't want to talk about it.
No, this was back when he did. And then it didn't go well. And so he stopped. But it all began with my interview with him. And then it went to Oprah's couch and to Matt Lauer. You're being glib, Matt. You're glib, Matt. That started. The first one was with me. And I did a half-an-hour interview, Tom. His people got back and said, if you want to interview Tom, you have to go to each of the 4 Scientology centers in Hollywood, and you have to.
Boom. Okay, I'm going to stop you right there, guys. For any of you guys, if you had to take, this is how full of shit Billy Bush is. If you had to take a quiz right now, what are the 4 Scientology centers in Los Angeles? You'd probably go Celebrity Center. You'd probably go the LA Org on L. Ron Hubbard Way, the American St. Hill Organization on L. Ron Hubbard Way, the Advanced Organization of LA on L. Ron Hubbard Way. Maybe you would talk about, the Glendale Org. Maybe you would talk about the Los Feliz Mission. No, that's not what Billy's talking about. Let's hear what Billy's talking about.
See them all and interview Tom. You have to go to each of the 4 Scientology centers in Hollywood, and you have to see them all and understand. You can't just.
There's 4 right in Hollywood?
Well, there's the Celebrity Center, and then there's the Narconon or the Narcotics Center, and then there's the Human Rights Museum, and there's one other.
There's no freaking Narconon in Hollywood. There's no Narconon in Hollywood. There's no Human Rights Museum. There's the Citizen. Oh, he's talking about the CCHR. That's the Psychiatry Industry of Death exhibit. I'm sorry to keep stopping this, guys, but here.
Or the Narcotics Center, and then there's the Human Rights Museum, and there's one other.
They have a good cleanse.
I have never heard of the Psychiatry Industry of Death Museum referred to as the Human Rights Museum. But now that I think about it, the Industry of Death Museum is operated by Scientology's front group, Citizens Commission for Human Rights. But that's just an anti-psychiatry front group. There's another front group called United for Human Rights. And then there's another front group called Youth for Human Rights. But I love Billy Bush is talking about this stuff like he's an expert. And the truth is, he barely knows what he's talking about.
Maybe the other one's a sauna. I don't know. There's,
Did you know that?
Well, there's the Celebrity Center, and then there's the Narconon or the whatever, the Narcotics Center, and then there's the Human Rights Museum, and there's one other.
They have a good cleanse.
Maybe the other one's a sauna. I don't know. There's.
Did you know that?
They have a good cleanse.
Scientology. I mean,
Bill Maher has some of the weirdest takes. Bill Maher has some of the weirdest takes. He's about to talk about Scientology's purification rundown, which, by the way, is not marketed as a cleanse. Scientology does not market this thing as a cleanse. It's actually the first major action you do in Scientology. It's not even an introductory action. It's a major action. And it's really just L. Ron Hubbard. It is meant to rid toxins of the body, but it's supposed to have a spiritual thing. It's not marketed as a cleanse. I realize I'm going to describe it in a way that makes it sound exactly like a cleanse. It's essentially a 6-week, it ends up taking usually about 6 weeks. It's a sauna program. You have to do it every single day, 5 hours a day, some mild cardio. You have to take oil, vitamins, lecithin, and a base, and tons of niacin, like medically problematic levels of niacin, and 5 hours a day in a sauna until you feel like you've had some sort of spiritual awakening. But Bill Maher is about to describe it as if you can just go do Scientology's cleanse. And the truth is, I think Scientology has actually tricked a bunch of celebrities into doing the purification rundown by telling them it's just a cleanse. So Bill might actually be telling his version of the truth here.
the rest of it is so batshit. I mean, I can't even explain
What's
it.
the cleanse? Like a museum, and there's one other.
They have a good cleanse.
Maybe the other one's a sauna. I don't know. There's.
Did you know that?
They have a good cleanse.
Scientology. I mean, the rest of it is so batshit. I mean, I can't even explain
What's
it.
the cleanse? Like a drink or like a steam?
Like it? No, like a full cleanse. Like if you really want to like get rid of the toxins in your body. I mean, more than just a day. Like a real, it's like a month-long cleanse. But like, you know, if you want to, I haven't done it, but I know people who have who are not Scientologists. But the cleanse is good.
Yeah.
After that, the whole thing goes off the rails.
Goes off the rails.
But-
I'll try the cleanse.
But the cleanse is good. So it's just saying there's goodness in everything. That's all I'm saying.
The point is, I sit down with Tom for a half an hour. We talk about everything under the sun, and that's where everybody picks up on stuff. We talk about psychotropic drugs, which he doesn't believe in, and I said, well, you worked with Brooke Shields, and I mean, she took this Paxil, the drug for postpartum depression. It was
He's not completely wrong about the big idea.
well, it was
that we
not the
take-
time to say it because he said, "Oh yeah, where's Brooke's career now?" And then
Ooh.
that went off,
Did he
and then
really?
Matt Lauer followed up on that, and then they had their falling out.
Okay, good. I just want to jump in before I forget. I've been hearing this a lot lately. It turns out Tom Cruise was right. Here's the thing. Tom Cruise publicly talking about his concerns about overdiagnosis or over medication of this group or that group is a little disingenuous of Tom Cruise, because his objections have nothing to do with over prescription or over diagnosing of anything. That just happens to be the way Tom Cruise talks about it, because he thinks he can get he knows he'll be able to get a lot of people to agree with him if he talks about it in that way. The truth is, Tom Cruise is against all mental health treatment of any kind whatsoever. Tom Cruise is against all medication for any mental health problems for anyone, anytime, any condition whatsoever, and that the only proper mental health treatment that should ever be used on anyone is Scientology. Do you see what I mean? So I bristle a little bit when I see people being like, Tom Cruise was right after all. Tom Cruise was only saying what he thought he could get broad agreement on. He wasn't actually being honest that he doesn't believe in any mental health care, any therapy, any medication of any kind, any reason. You know what I mean? Anyway, it bugs me a little bit, but all right, let's keep going.
And but Tom thought the interview with me went great. He wrote me a beautiful handwritten note and sent me an $800 bottle of wine. Billy Bush, you are an upstanding man. That was an incredible interview. You're way too good for these entertainment. You're terrific. And I was like floating on a cloud with Tom. And then 2 days later, the couch, and then Matt, and
He literally just said Tom jumped on Oprah's couch 2 days after his interview with Billy Bush. Oprah interviewed Tom Cruise on May 23rd, 2005. That's when it aired. Billy interviewed Tom Cruise on June 17th, 2005. But don't tell Billy Bush that.
never talked about it again. But I will say this. You can judge Scientology. It works for him. Like different things work for different people. The guy was dyslexic. He couldn't read a script. He couldn't memorize anything. That's somehow connected to him and made him the most prolific actor there is.
Okay, that's like saying
That's a good point.
yeah.
You'll give me that.
But well, I can't really, because it's like saying the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia works for the King of Saudi Arabia. Yeah, it does.
Well, you can say that. It does.
It does. And Scientology, there's a lot of evil shit that goes on in Scientology. I mean, people seem to disappear. They seem
You
to,
might disappear.
They seem,
Be careful.
I know. They seem to be imprisoned. They seem to be subject to like horrible things, like scrubbing floors for years. And I mean, it's just there is. I mean, and they're very litigious. And also they go after people who leave. I mean, look at Leah Remini and all the stuff she's exposed. So the fact that he's, at the apex of this organization, yes, it works for him. And I say that all adding, I'm a huge fan of his work.
His work.
And also,
but he wouldn't be able to do his work without, according to him.
I would love someone to be able to ask him about this. Like, Tom, everyone loves you. You're such a nice guy. Everything you do is right and perfect and blah, blah, blah. You must be aware that this is going on in this organization that you're a part of. I mean, don't you?
No one's getting close enough to do that.
Right. But he could stop that. He has the power. I mean, it's not David Miscavige. It's Tom Cruise who's really the head of the
But Tom doesn't appear with Miscavige anymore. He doesn't go to the I think he's a passive member. I mean, at this.
Oh my God. I mean, Billy Bush, there's nothing he will not pretend to be an expert on. This guy's absolutely unbearable. No one is a bigger fan of Billy Bush than Billy Bush. Literally saying Tom Cruise is just a passive member now. Where does he even get off claiming to have such knowledge? The annual celebration of the anniversary of the creation of the International Association of Scientologists takes place every year in St. Hill, East Grinstead in England. Between August, September, and October. It's actually happening this week. The annual event is happening in England this week. And for the past 2 years, Tom Cruise has shown up to the event in person, arriving by helicopter, wearing his Scientology IAS Freedom Medal of Valor, and hobnobbing and glad handing and shaking hands and taking photos and kissing babies and all that good stuff. Tom Cruise is just as much of a Scientologist today as he has ever been. He simply cares more about his career than he does being the omnipresent, talking about Scientology anywhere and everywhere he goes. And it's true. Tom Cruise has stopped talking about Scientology, but he is still very, very much a Scientologist. And I have to agree with Bill. First of all, Tom Cruise absolutely knows about all of the abuse and everything. Tom Cruise is as abusive to his own staff members as David Miscavige is to his subordinates. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Tom Cruise knows about it and he endorses it and he practices it himself. And if Tom Cruise wanted things to change in Scientology, I actually agree. He does have the power to bring about those changes. Because if Tom Cruise left Scientology, Scientology would be done for. I mean, Scientology is already on a dwindling spiral that it will never be able to reverse itself from. But I think that if Tom Cruise left, Scientology would very abrupt, like there would be a mass exodus of Scientologists from Scientology, even more so than is already occurring. And the avalanche, the torrent of negative, horrible, bad press for Scientology, if Tom Cruise were to leave, it would just, things would come to a grinding halt. So I'm with Bill Maher on this one. Let's listen a little bit more.
I don't think. I mean,
don't you?
No one's getting close enough to do that.
Right. But he could stop that. He has the power. I mean, it's not David Miscavige. It's Tom Cruise who's really the head of the.
But Tom doesn't appear with Miscavige anymore. He doesn't go to the. I think he's a passive member. I mean, at this point, I don't think. I mean, anyone who's a high-profile member. No.
Okay, but if you're aware of this shit that's going on, and look at those shows that Leah did. I mean, people having to escape from it like it's a concentration camp in North Korea. I mean, it's just crazy.
But it holds him together. What holds you together? It's not religion.
Billy very abruptly changes the conversation because it's very much not going his way. And unfortunately, Bill Maher lets him change the topic, which was a bummer because I was actually really enjoying that conversation. Yeah, it would be fun to talk to Bill Maher about Scientology. I don't think I've seen Bill Maher do an interview. Like for example, I don't think I've seen Bill Maher interview Leah Remini. I was gonna say I don't think I've seen Bill Maher interview an actual ex-Scientologist. I don't know if he ever interviewed Paul Haggis or Leah or Jason Begay or anything like that. Have you guys ever seen Bill Maher do an interview with a celebrity Scientologist or a celebrity ex-Scientologist where they talked about Scientology? If you have, you can please send me a link at growingupinscientology@gmail.com. All right, guys, let's see. It's almost 5 o'clock. I have another video I want to do by the end of the day. So I'm going to wrap this one up and get ready for the next one. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. Hope you enjoyed that. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click